Candidate number 4221, and the player I'm choosing is number 4 for Stockport County.
Brilliant. It's Kyle Cunningham.
Right. The strengths of player 4 are his short passing, because his non-kicking foot's beside the ball. He's got his arms out for balance. He's always looking at the ball to target, and he uses the instep of his foot to get the right force onto the ball, so the momentum gets it to his teammate. A weakness though of player 4 sometimes is his long passing ability, because even though some of his techniques are right, like using his laces, his non-kicking foot beside the ball, and his eyes on the target, his accuracies were off, so maybe that's due to him not using the right amount of power when striking the ball with his laces. But a strength of the long passes at the beginning of the game in the tactics, player 4 automatically used a long pass to get the ball into the opposition defence, maybe to turn them behind, or because that before that game they found that's a weakness of the team. A fitness strength, which is a gross motor ability, is endurance. Because the player's a midfielder, he has to have a lot of endurance, so therefore his aerobic system has to be good. And the aerobic systems are positive because it can go for a long duration at moderate to low intensity, which a football game is probably moderate intensity. And through this, it's producing 34 ATP, and this takes place in the sarcoplasm and the mitochondria. At moments in the game though, number 4's agility is quite good. So when he's closing down an opponent, he gets there and he's got his body in the way, so screening the pass to an opposition player. So this is him using his ATP PC system, which is high intensity and low duration, and this uses 2 ATP. When using the short pass, the player will use flexion and extension in the knee, which is the hinge joint. When using flexion, the major muscle groups are the semimembranosus, semitenbrinosus, and the bicep femoris. And when using extension, it's the vastus lateralis, the vastus intermedius, and the vastus medialis, and the rectus femoris. A weakness probably of the player as well is shooting, because in the game, all his techniques right, which is striking the ball with his laces, looking at the target, his arms out for balance, but one thing that's off is he's leaning back too much and not keeping his head over the ball to make sure he hits the target. And when doing this, he uses his ankle joint and uses uses plantar flexion, which uses the major muscle groups, the gastrocnemius and the soleus, which is a hinge joint as well. When using the short pass, it's a fine skill because it's using small muscle groups, but it has to be precise and intricate. It's also discreet because it has a clear beginning and ending, so the beginning is when he's making the pass and the end is when it reaches its opponent. And it's an open skill as well on the continuum because it's in an ever-changing environment, so it depends on what the opposition's doing, what the pitch is like, and the weather. Tactics, a strength for tactics are, at camera, the player seems to be making room for his defence, so dropping off, then running into space to open up the pitch. Also, when he's out camera, when the defensive team, the red team's got the ball in their half, he seems to be moving his team up and pushing them up to put pressure upon the opposition. So maybe noting that they're not good under pressure or not as good as them. So that means they can get the ball back off the opposition a lot quicker. Check. A psychology area of this could be that the team all have a goal and an ambition, so they know where they're heading. So that means the group cohesion is very good. So they all know their ambition, which may be to reach the playoffs or just for this game, is to win the match. So that means they're all going in the same direction. So that means there's no Rinkelmann effect, which says that when you're in a squad sport and there's more than 5 players, that there's a chance that the team coordination drops, and that means that there's more chance of you losing and more chance of arguing amongst the squad. Also, for the player to complete the short pass well, this could be due to his recognition schema, which is to do with abilities, and these get placed in the long-term memory, which means every time the player performs a pass to a high standard, he knows that it has a kinesthetic feel, so he knows that's how a pass should always happen. Also, for the recognition scheme to be stored in the long-term memory, it might come about from maybe an extrinsic reward from someone else, so like maybe at the end of the game he gets given man of the match, so he knows if he keeps performing like that and doing that skill that way, then it'll be successful. This game's developed from when it used to be mod football because it's not got the brutality and the violence. Although there's still a surgeon involved in the sport, it's not like to the aggressive stage where people are out to hurt each other and cause harm like it was years ago when it was like body culture and there was no rules involved. And this came about from years ago when the Dr. Arnold stage came around and rules were incorporated to fill schoolboys with the right characteristics to achieve in life. And football came about through the melting pot when ex-university pupils went to Oxford and Cambridge. Also for his fitness, maybe partly in the game, he shows good balance because when he's on the ball, he shows a feint. So this shows that he can move his body from one position to another without falling over, so it shows he's got a good balance. And a weakness probably of number 4 as well is maybe his heading ability, because even though he keeps his eye on the trajectory of the ball when it's in the air from a goal kick, he always seems when he jumps for it, he's mistiming his jumping or being outbeaten by the man. So maybe that's just due to his issues with judging the trajectory of the ball. So the major weakness of play 4, I'd say, is his shooting ability. So to improve his shooting ability, I create a 12-week training, a 10 to 12 week program. Maybe, well, because of him being at the excellent stage on the sport pyramid and being an elite performer, so everything's autonomous to him and habitual, so like the short passing, the long passing. It's most likely they'll train at least 3 to 4 times a week. So through this, so maybe you could cut the training program down from maybe 12 weeks to 4 or 5. Everything to do with like his coaching points, so like to get his head over the ball doesn't seem to be right, but everything like arms out for balance, then kicking foot beside the ball, that all seems to be fine. So just to improve getting his head over the ball, maybe you could do like the first week, and maybe for like 10 or 15 minutes of the training session, do a mini small shooting drill with like the strikers and the midfielders, and set up small nets, maybe about 25 metres, about 25 metres away from him, and just see if you can drill them into the nets to just test their accuracy in a pass, not a pass and a shot. Then you progress it possibly to a small 7-a-side match situation where you've got a keeper in a 7-a-side net, and just to see if that drill in the beginning has improved the accuracy of the shooting. And then you could see maybe if the performer is doing the shooting accurately in the mini drill, and then when it comes to the 7-a-side it's completing it accurately, you can progress them into doing probably maybe a 6v, maybe defence v attack, so 4 defenders against 6 attackers, and the net is got target zones, So in both top corners there's red bibs, and in both bottom corners there's yellow bibs. But there's still a keeper in the net, and it's just testing how well they can, how accurately they can hit the corners. So maybe if they hit a red bib, they get two goals, and maybe if the bottom corner they can get 1 goal. From that, you can develop it into a defence v attack match without any influence from the coach, maybe giving them any tips or pointers or saying any coaching points, so they themselves have to look at the performance and eradicate the errors. And then the final stage could be to set up maybe a friendly game behind closed doors to test, so you can look at and see if the coaching drill has helped the midfielder in his shooting. So see if part of the tactics is maybe if they set up in a diamond formation in midfield, he's at the point of the diamond, so therefore he's getting forward more, and therefore he's got a greater chance of taking shots, so you can see if his shooting ability is improved. And then you could probably tell this is a success by if he scores in the game, or at least if he hits the post or the crossbar. So it's showing his accuracy improved from the last game where his shots go massively wide. And maybe your weakness is if the skill's constantly the same and if the ball's still going wide most of the time. So then if it is doing that, you could go back to using the target zones and then have another game, not another game behind closed doors, but another game against a team in their league and see if it changes.